Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's nice to see you for a second time this afternoon. A wee unexpected live stream for you all after Celtic officially confirmed the signing of Benjamin Nygren from Nordsjælland this afternoon. Literally seconds after I published my video earlier, Celtic decided to drop this news. Exactly what I think the timing actually was this. I think I uploaded at 1:06 p.m. this afternoon. 1:06 p.m. And then they announced this and they released the statement at 1:08 p.m. this afternoon. So somebody at Celtic's taking the piss out of me. We're going to sit down, we're going to look through the statement, we're going to look at the images and the first photos of Benjamin Nygren signing for the club. And then we're going to talk about another wee story later on in the stream as well. But as always, I want to have all your questions, all your thoughts. We'll get to that later on in the stream. It's nice to be back in a live capacity. I have missed you guys. Live streams and such should be coming back on a regular basis starting from today. So, yeah, Benjamin Nygren has signed for the club, and let's have a look, shall we, at his first statement since signing for the club. Here's a good question, by the way, before we get going. How many other Swedes can you name that has played for us? Well, we've got Henrik Larsson, of course, Karl Starfelt, Johan Mjällby, Mikael Lustig, technically Sead Haksabanovic. He was of dual nationality, but he was technically Swedish. Who else has there been? Freddie Lundberg, John Guidetti. Oh, I've rifled through a good few here. There's probably a lot more. This is a good question. I like this. Have I missed any? Have I missed any obvious ones? Have I missed any big obvious ones? I think I've done quite well there, to be fair. There's nobody in my head that I'm thinking, God, how have I forgot? I'm Gustav Lagerbielke, of course. There, I've missed him. There's one of the most recent ones. Currently with Celtic under contract as well. I've done all right there. I think I've done all right. I think I've wired through the majority of them. If there's any I'm forgetting, I'm sure that some of you will pile them in as the stream goes on. It's a very good question to get the brain ticking to start off the stream, Paul. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Anyway, Celtic at about 1:10 this afternoon revealed the first images of Benjamin Nygren in a Celtic shirt after landing in Glasgow last night, and said that Celtic are delighted to have signed Swedish international Benjamin Nygren on a 5-year deal subject to international clearance. The 23-year-old attacker joins from Danish side FC North Zealand, where he scored 15 goals last season, and his impressive club form also seen him gain international recognition. He's already scored 2 goals in 4 appearances for the Swedish national team, including a 2-0 away win over Hungary earlier this month. So he has signed. It is a 5-year contract for the Swedish playmaker. A very good deal for Celtic here. We're hearing something in the region of £1.5 million. He had 6 months left on his contract. This is an absolute bargain. He becomes the 3rd signing of the summer transfer window for Celtic after Kieran Tierney and Ross Doohan. And I think he will end up being the bargain of this summer transfer window to pick up somebody who has such quality for £1.5 million to scout out that situation he was in with only 6 months left on his contract. Listen, we're very critical of the Celtic scouting system. We're very critical of Celtic's recruitment, and we will obviously demand the best and we demand more of this window. But this is some great business, and this is one that the club deserve its plaudits for. I don't know who was the leading man in this signing, whether it was obviously Brendan Rodgers as manager or if it was Paul Tisdale at the scouting department or anybody else. I don't know who was the one that alerted the club to his availability first, but they deserve a huge tip of the hat if things go well, because for £1.5 million, listen, this is one of these ones. We use the phrase high risk, high reward, or low risk. This is low risk, high reward stuff. This, you know, if this goes well, that there's no risk. For £1.5 million, he could be an absolute bust, and we haven't really wasted much money, but he's not going to be a bust. There's no point talking like that. I have very high hopes for Benjamin Nygren. Brendan Rodgers has spoken about him as well for the first time, saying we're delighted to have brought him to Celtic, and we're all looking forward to working with him. He's an exciting, quality player who will add to our attacking options in the squad. He's a young player who's already gained plenty of experience at club level, where his impressive performances last season also see him gain caps for Sweden. So joining Celtic is the next step up in his career, and having spoken to him, he's delighted to be here and is ready to take on the exciting challenges ahead at home and in Europe. He's a player that I'm sure our supporters will enjoy watching, and it's great to have him as part of our squad. So we're still awaiting all the content to fall. I'm assuming the majority of it will end up behind a bloody paywall, because we know what Celtic TV and the club are like. He has sat down with Jerry McCulloch for his first interview with the club, but some of the preview quotes released in the statement include saying how amazing it is to have signed for Celtic. It's nice to be here. I've been looking forward to this so much. I'm a player who wants to create a lot of chances to go towards goal. I'm a link between the defence and the offence, and I can run a lot. I'm an offensive-minded player, but I also work hard and I try to do my best in all parts of my game. I'm a very competitive person, and this is something that I love about Celtic. It's a huge club, and I love that. And also the winning mentality. I want to be with similar-minded people who also love to win. I had my breakthrough when I was very young, so even though I'm 23 years old, I have already played over 200 games. I have a lot of experience, and that's what I want to bring. So, yeah, this is really good stuff from Celtic. Bringing in somebody who, at 23, with so much potential and such a high ceiling to get towards, whilst also having 200 games worth of experience in the top flight of Danish football, experience in European football. This is a real win-win situation for Celtic. I think this will go down as a terrific signing and one that deserves all the plaudits. So I'm very excited. The one thing that caught my eye the most here in his words, in his statement, was the fact that he says he likes to run a lot. An offensive-minded player who likes to work hard, try to do his best in all parts of the game, but he likes to run a lot. Now, if you just picture a midfield three with Dyson Maeda on the left-hand side and Benjamin Nygren on the right-hand side, listen, I wouldn't put the pressure on any man to be as quick as Dyson Maeda. I wouldn't put the pressure on any man to run as much as Dyson Maeda. But if you have two players on each wing who are going to run up and down those flanks, forward and back, both for offensive reasons and defensive reasons, we're on to a huge, huge winner. So I'm very excited to see where this one goes. He has arrived, a 5-year deal. Already, Celtic have tripled the value of him and what we have signed. He's not even kicked a ball, but he's already tripled in value. If he had 5 years left on his Nordjylland deal right now, Celtic wouldn't be able to get this guy for cheaper than 6 or 7 million quid. So this is finally a signing in this window. I know we've signed Tierney Duhan. It was a little bit different. But this is, I mean, you think of the 3 players we've brought in for about a shared fee of £200,000, or it's £200,000, £2 million, sorry. That is absolutely fantastic. So we're off to a good start in this window. We're not even into July yet. I'm very, very happy with this signing. So welcome to Celtic, Benjamin Nygren. I'm sure this one is going to go down well. The club have started releasing bits of their content. If you've been wanting to see Benji in the Celtic gear and you've been wanting to see the photos, that we do have some of them. We have the first photos here that were released this afternoon of Benjamin Nygren alongside those quotes that we went through a moment ago. It just suits it. There's something about a Swede in a Celtic shirt that just works, doesn't it? A big handsome Swede in a Celtic shirt. And in case you were wondering, he has taken the shirt number 8. So Kyogo's old number is gone. Scott Brown's old number, I associate it more with Bruni than I do Kyogo. Number 8 is gone. That's the number that Benjamin Nygren will pick up. So if you were hoping for Kyogo to come back in this window, down to his availability, he won't be getting the number 8 back if he did. He's not coming back. He's not coming back, but still. And there you go, signing the contract. A few other wee bits of content around about it. But Celtic's new number 8, Velkommen Nygren. He has arrived and it is official. So this is one that I'm glad we can finally see the back of, that we can finally kind of wrap up. It was getting to that kind of annoying point where people were like, oh, where is he? Announce him. Even though we knew he was going to be here. I'm just glad that it's done. And now we can move on to our next targets. And I think that is the biggest positive to take away from all of it this afternoon, that Celtic can now move on to their next targets, whether that be the likes of Miloslav Jovic, who we spoke about today, whether that's the likes of the very slim chance of signing Lennon Miller, whether that's Mattis Viscard, whoever that might be, whoever the next targets, it is nice to move on to them. So yeah, there you go. If you've got any points, any things that you want to say, make sure to get them in. We will try and talk about it. I want to run over the story today around David Murray. That it was in my lowdown for today's live stream. In fact, I will just come on to that next. We'll do the Q&A to finish off. So let's go back in time a little bit. There was a man that used to own and run the Glasgow Rangers, and that was David Murray. We all know how the fairy tale ended. He sold the club for £1. He'd done a runner, and nobody has heard of him for years, basically. He's done no public interviews or appearances or anything like that. There's been very little explanation as to what actually happened at Rangers, apart from everything we heard from HMRC. And for the first time in about 14 years, he has spoken to the media. He has done an interview. He sat down with Ewan Cameron with Radio Clyde and gave an interview where he launched a scathing attack on Celtic chairman Peter Lawwell, which was unexpected. Look, listen, I'm all for communication about both clubs on either side. I like hearing the drama and all the rest of it, but it seems like David Murray today was trying to shift a lot of his own problems and a lot of the blame in the Rangers situation towards Peter Lawwell. But even intelligent Rangers supporters can see right through him for the liar, the deceitful, and the destructive man that he is, trying to claw back some form of relevancy. So this was the sort of headline that came out. If you've watched the interview yet, it's quite interesting. And interesting in the sense it's funny to see a guy who cheated and conned his way to the top of Scottish football for years try to excuse himself from all of those problems. He'd done an interview this afternoon saying that Peter Lawwell is wielding too much influence over Scottish football. So let's have a look over some of the quotes from that. He did detail that he knew Peter Lawwell previously to his role with Celtic. Of course, Peter Lawwell came in as chief executive in that kind of higher up role in about 2004. And he knew of Peter Lawwell before that. He said one of his companies, GM Mining, did business with Scottish Coal, where Peter Lawwell worked. He once invited him to a game at Ibrox. He was delighted to accept it, and back then was good company. But by the time he rose to become chief executive of Celtic, he was on a completely different trajectory. And by the way, just want to make this clear, this is all in the aim of peddling his book. Joe is right. David Murray is releasing a book where I'm sure he'll probably talk more about Peter Lawwell next week. But this is all what the reason for this is, because he wants to get his money back that he's lost on his book, taking advantage of Rangers supporters yet again, because there won't be any Celtic fans buying the book. So this is what he said about Peter Lawwell. For nearly 2 decades, he tried to build up a seat of power, and I honestly believe that by the end of his time at the club, he was wielding far too much influence in Scottish football. At one point, after I sold Rangers, so this was post-2011, it seemed he was positively revelling in the demise of the club. All I can say to that is, Peter Lawwell, for everything that I've said over the years that might sound a bit cheeky or a bit spiteful, I wasn't familiar with your game. I hope you were revelling in the demise of the club. He held sway on committees through friends and always used the strength of his power base when he thought it was necessary. Of course, he had a job to do for his club, and no one could argue that he did it well for much of his tenure. But with very few influential or credible figures working to Rangers' benefit, he became a pivotal figure in trying to grind them down and make them suffer. To me, it seemed the mantra was always, let's bury Rangers. So just to reiterate, David Murray believes that Peter Lawwell and his whole 20-odd years of working in the chief executive role at Celtic was just short of 20 years, I should say, was to bury Rangers. Now, I don't imagine that David Murray will see this podcast / live stream / clip, but there is only one man responsible for burying Rangers, for killing Rangers, for destroying a football club, and it's not Peter Lawwell, David. It's David Murray. You buried Rangers, not Peter Lawwell. And Peter Lawwell done his job as a Celtic chief executive officer in the correct fashion. When Rangers were high and when Rangers were low. When Rangers were at their best in that 2009, 10, 11 period where they won 3 in a row. And when they were at their worst, when the cards came tumbling down months later, Peter Lawwell done what was in the best interest of Celtic. And I will never say otherwise to that. And I don't think anyone should. He done what was in best interest for our club. He did not bury Rangers. David Murray buried Rangers. And if Peter Lawwell played any part of it, then good on you, Peter. But that's the case. So that seems to be one of the excuses that he's peddling in this interview. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more in his book that's released next week. But it's interesting hearing all of this come out 13 years on, especially when when Celtic have gone through the success that they've had. I often wonder that if Rangers weren't liquidated, if we would hear anything similar to these sort of stories. Would they be saying the same thing? I doubt it. But those were the quotes of David Murray this afternoon. So we'll see what happens. There we go. Right. I want to get your guys' thoughts, your guys' questions. There is over 300 of you live with me here at the back of 5, or should I say 5:15 on a Friday afternoon. I'm sure we're all desperate to get out this evening. I'm sure you've all got better plans than watching Ryan 118. So let's get talking about anything at all. It could be about Benjamin NYGREN. It could be talking about David Murray's quotes. It could be absolutely anything. Blake, I'm sorry to hear that as a man who's suffering from bad heartburn, sunburn up here. Yeah, the good news is Benjamin NYGREN's here, Blake, so take that as a positive. Where is Callum Osmond? He's somewhere. He's somewhere. He will be signing for Celtic. I just don't know when they want to announce it. Maybe the only possible explanation that I can give to it is maybe that there is still something to be tied up with the compensation fee between us and Fulham. That's the only thing I can think that's slowing that signing down. But that he will be here. I don't know where he is right now, though. I couldn't give you his whereabouts. I'm not a stalker. Sadly. Afternoon from sunny Florida. Oh, nice to see you. Welcome in, Aidan. Bumped into Hulk Hogan. He called me a prick. Well, you can tell him he's also a prick. I was going to say something far more nasty, but I decided I'd keep it PG. Would you use the new Celtic top as an arse rag? Seems like it would have a good use for that, Yerelda. Yep, I think that would probably have a good use. Hi, Helen. Happy Friday to you too. It's nice to see you. Ryan, what's your thoughts on any Leon players since they went down? Would you take any of them? I mean, yeah, of course I would. There's players in that team. I wouldn't mind seeing Alexander Lacazette rocking up at Celtic Park. Realistically, you've got to understand that that's probably not going to happen, though. Celtic have a team right now that is very much full. They're clearing out deadwood and they have their targets. There's nobody there that I think Celtic will... You've got to remember it this way. The top players at Lyon are going to be fighting off offers with a shitty stick. You know, they won't be short of any sort of offer. I think they'll have their sights set higher than Celtic. But yeah, listen, you never know. Welcome to the club, Kieran. As a member, hello. What a signing for NYGREN, only 1.7 million. It may be even less than that, to be fair. The exact details of the fee seem to change depending on who you ask, but I think we're looking at something around £1.34 million. So, it's a brilliant signing, to say the least. Have you seen the Miovski links, Ryan? No, I was anticipating Miovski. I mean, I guess I've seen a few of them as soon as the Girona were already part of him. Would I take him? No. I wouldn't. I don't think he's good enough. I'm just being honest. I don't think Miovski's good enough. And I think there's a reason that he's went to Girona and couldn't kick his own arse, because he looked far better than he actually was at Aberdeen. He had a great season. But let Rangers go and sign him if he wants to come back to Scotland. I don't think he's that good. I think Adam Ida is twice the player that he is. Ida better. And that's saying something when you consider the stick that Adam Ida gets. I don't think that Miovski is that good. And I'll die on that hill. Sorry. Let's see. A striker, Balikwisha, 2 centre-backs, Miller and a CDM. That'd be some window. Christ, you're not asking for much, you. You're not asking for much, but you're right. It would be some window. The fact that NYGREN takes 8, does that maybe suggest that he's going to play more of an attacking midfielder role? Listen, if you're a football traditionalist, then yes, I suppose so, but the numbers mean nothing. Kyogo wore number 8. He didn't play as an attacking midfielder. He was a striker. The numbers mean nothing. I mean, if we want to go off the traditionalist winger numbers, like the majority of them are taken, aren't they? I think 11's open, but like 7 That's taken. Is 7 taken? Who? Where's? Is it Palma? Is Palma still 7? Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think it suggests anything. A number's a number, and that's that. The updates on Viscarden is that Brøndby are still in the process of trying to sell him and accepted he wants to go, but I've not heard of any bids from him yet. So we'll just need to wait and see. Working in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea for the past 3 months. I've seen 3 locals wearing retro tops. Didn't think they would take the new third kit. Nah, I don't think they will. But that is, wow. We've had people check in from all over the world, but I've never had anybody check in from Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. That is fantastic. And here I am, sitting in the East End of Glasgow. Brilliant. The moment is gone with Miovski. I would have 100% took him before leaving Aberdeen. Listen, I would have understood it then. I still wouldn't have took him then, never mind now. I'm not, I sound like I'm very, as if I hate the guy. I don't. I just don't think he's that good, to be quite honest. Thank you to Michael for becoming a member. Michael Smith, former darts world champion. Thank you for joining the membership. Welcome to the club, Michael. It is nice to have you. How many signings do you think are still needed? A good few. I would say at least 3, but I would ideally like to see as many as 5 come in. I still think we need another left back. I think we need a quality centre back. I think we need a striker. I think there's another winger coming in. I think we need a centre mid of some form. That's 5. So I think that there will be at least 3 that come in. I would like 5 to come in, and that's right. Jota is 7. That's right. When I think of Jota, I think of 17. I love how everybody was quick to be like, Jota wears number 7. How could you forget? Balak Wisha will be 11 if he signs. Yeah, definitely leaving that number for him, I think. Not important, but why have Celtic released the away kit and they have the third? It's not down to Celtic, it's down to Adidas. Adidas decide when they are releasing the kits. They have techniques, they have statistics and analytics as to what will sell best at what time. There's some dick that sits at a supercomputer and decides when a shirt should go on sale. A lot of it will also come down to manufacturing. The away kit might just not have the manufactured amount that they need to put them on sale yet. There might be a shortage. There's so many different reasons, but it's not down to Celtic. It's down to Adidas. Adidas decide when the kits go on sale. What's the most important signing this window? I will maintain it. I think it's a centre half. I think a left-sided centre half is the most important player we should be looking at this window. I don't mind the talks of Milija Savijevic coming back up, even though I'm a bit anxious over the fact that a 17 or 18-year-old defender is meant to be the answer. But you know, I'm willing to give any guy a chance if you're good enough. You're old enough. So I will wait and see, but I still think that is the most important position to pick up on in this window. In my humble opinion, I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's striker, it's whatever," but you know, we'll wait and see. Where would I play NYGREN though? That is a good question. Look, listen, I think that we've got a real versatility with this guy. That means that we can play him in a couple of areas that would suit us. I think that sometimes it looks as though we've needed an attacking midfielder just to bridge the likes of Engels into the forward areas. I think sometimes that you could say that we need depth behind Nicholas Kuhn as well. I don't think Yang's good enough. Forrest is obviously getting on a little bit. He'll be able to do them all. I think he'll be mostly used. Do you know what? I don't know what I think. Why am I sitting here and pretending I know where he's going to play? I don't know what Brendan Rodgers is thinking. Brendan Rodgers knows, and that's it. There's no point me sitting pretending. Yeah, this reminds me of when, like, Hatate came to the club, and we were hearing all these reports like, oh, Rio Hatate can play as a left back. Oh, there we go. New left back. He's surely going to play at left back. Bang, played centre mid. And we don't know what the manager wants to do. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have the insider knowledge. I don't know Brendan. I would like to shout out Mackenzie very quickly, who has pointed out that Matthew Anderson has left the club. He has indeed left. He signed a 3-year deal with Belgian side KV Kortrijk. He has left. Huge news, I suppose. But thank you for pointing out, Matthew, for people who might ask, where's Matthew Anderson? Well, we know now. He's in Belgium. We've got about 5 more minutes left in the stream. So Feel free to pile in as many questions as you can. Here's an interesting one from Paul. Do you think we could go back to the 4-2-3-1 to suit NYGREN in the 10 role? Yeah, 100%. I could see that. I think in this day and age in football, the 4-3-3 and the 4-2-3-1 have become a bit of a hybrid of each other. I don't think that teams explicitly play those shapes anymore. Players do so much moving about in a game that setting out in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 feels pretty much non-existent. All you need to do is analyze a team's shape over 90 minutes, and you will see that players are moving that much that the shape isn't anything really familiar to the football fan's eye. But yeah, I could definitely see them playing an adapted version of a 4-2-3-1 or even a 4-3-3 with Hatate or Engels dropping a bit deeper. Once again, Brendan Rodgers will know what he wants to do, and I don't. So we'll wait and see. I do want to see him on the wing, though. He's talking about how much he likes to run. You know, if you get a guy in the wing that wants to run at defenders and wants to run back and forth and defend, I think he could be of great use out there. And that's his natural position. That's where he played for years and still does. But he's just really been standing out recently. At that attacking mid position. So, yeah, it's a good headache for the manager to have. Put it that way. It's a very good headache for the manager to have. Let's see. What else? Before we wrap up, let's get a few questions. Which player will Celtic likely lose that will be the most worrying? That is a good question. It seems all things have gone quiet in regards to, Maida, Hatate leaving. Touch wood, that stays the same. I think the only big player that looks like might leave in this window right now is Nicholas Kuhn. And I don't want to jinx anybody else leaving because, there's obviously talk of Vickers being looked at and other guys. But Kuhn, and I don't think Kuhn is overly worrying. I really like Kuhn. I think he's great. I don't want him to go. But the fact that we are being linked with all these wingers would suggest to me that we don't necessarily need to worry. So I don't know if Vickers would be the one that I would say if he was to go, that's the one I'd be the most worried about, to be quite honest. Mackenzie answering Kuhn or Rio to that question. What's the latest Hatate? There's nothing. There's literally nothing with Rio Hatate at the minute. The last thing on this channel we spoke about with Rio Hatate was talking about how happy he is at Celtic and how he wants to go on and win more trophies next year. So all things are good right now with Rio Hatate on that front. And hopefully that remains the same. I don't want to see Rio Hatate move on. I don't want to see Rio Hatate leave. I want to see him put pen to paper on a new deal and call Celtic his home until he's ready to call it a day. He's a great footballer and one that we're very, very lucky to have. So, aye. Let's get a couple more. A bold prediction for next season. It's a bit early for bold predictions. I don't know how, but for some people this will be incredibly bold, but I'm standing on my business and saying it. I think Arne Engels will be player of the year. And I'm saying it now, and I'll say it again. I think that Arne Engels will be Celtic's player of the year, if not Scotland's player of the year. I think he's going to have a real good season. And that might be bold to some. To me, it doesn't feel bold at all because I believe in the young player that we have there. Simple as that. Yes, Mackenzie, I will. Are we still in for Balikwisha? I've seen the talks have stalled. I take it nothing has changed since. All that I can tell you right now is that Celtic still want to make it happen. Balikwisha still wants to make it happen. We're waiting for Antwerp to lower that price they're asking for. They will not get £5 million for him in this window. And it's a club that need money. So get that lowered by a couple of £1 million and Balikwisha will be a Celtic player. So we'll wait and see. Newcastle game not selling well. Colour me shocked. Loads of sections still not been released. The place will be dead unless they start selling tickets for about £5 and get it up them. I don't have any sort of no part of me going, oh, that's terrible. Good, send the club a message. Don't buy tickets. That's what we should be doing. We should be actively protesting against them. Capitalist pigs. Anyway. Right. That's about half an hour. It's dinner time. I'm going to go have my steak pie. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in this afternoon. It has been an absolute pleasure. Benjamin Nygren is here. He is a Celtic player, and hopefully he's the first of many to come in these next few weeks. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments, all the rest of it. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow with something to talk about. If not, I'll be back on Sunday with hopefully something to talk about. But until then, you all take care of yourself, ladies and gents. God bless, and I'll see you next time.